planners continue to plan, trying to plan our lives for us, and the resistance is strong, though. The resistance is strong. The grassroots are rising up. The more the truth gets to the people of Arkansas, the more we realize we still have a long way to go in getting the right people elected that truly reflect the conservative, limited government opinions of all of us, compared to the very small minority that, believes that government, is the answer to everything. Folks, welcome to the program. This is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. My name is Paul Harrell, and we're building a liberty machine, and it just so happens that it is Friday, which that means it's Johnny Cash Friday. I really want to thank everybody for starting the beginning of your weekend. The beginning of your weekend with us here at the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We really do appreciate it. We can't do the show without you listening every day. And I really have to say, if you've just joined us, first of all, Johnny Cash Friday, a day where we try to listen to as much Johnny Cash music as we can, while at the same time peppering in the news and events of the day and the week. Let's just get one more riff in there. Got a little so. All right, so here we go. Let's just, I'm going to get that out of there. We're going to get to more Johnny Cash music when we go to break. That's what we're going to do. That's what we do here on Johnny Cash Fridays. I have to say, I just wanted a nice, relaxing Friday. That's what I wanted, and looking at the headlines last night and this morning, that's not what you're going to get today on the program. We've got to dive in, folks. It's almost like it feels like it's a Monday here, because we have spent a great deal of time on the special election going on in Senate District 16. And if you want any indication about how nervous the Marble Palace establishment is, the Governor Asa Hutchinson establishment is, then you need to see how they are manipulating the mainstream media to all of the sudden decide to focus on the special election Senate District 16 race. They know that they're losing, in my opinion, and they're trying to do anything they can to derail. And we now know who for sure, if you had any doubt, who's the anti-establishment candidate in this race? Is it Luke Heffley? Is it Breann Davis? Or is it Bob Bailey? Well, none of the other two candidates are getting hit jobs. Against their own party is doing this. The mainstream media is doing this. The Democrats are doing this. And you heard Bob Bailey at the end of the program yesterday. He was saying, they're calling me about some Facebook post. Is that the best that they got? Well, KARK, you can go find this video over at arkansasmatters.com, but KARK, the NBC affiliate, has decided to draw their viewers' attention to Bob Bailey's Facebook posts about the shooting in Little Rock that happened last year, the supposed solutions for it, as well as criticizing Pine Bluff for having a crime problem. Now let's get into this report, okay? Let's start. Yeah, go ahead and show that. You can show the Joe. Go ahead and show that the actual article first, and then go ahead and play this. This is Tyler Thomason, Q mainstream media. Things are going good. They are worried that there potentially is a $2 billion program at stake. It's status quo versus non-status quo, non-establishment. This lets you know how important Asa thinks that this election is in terms of a bellwether for his re-election hopes in a primary against Jan Morgan. Listen to this post from 2 days ago. KARK, Tyler Thomason. Listen to this.
Off Main Street in Russellville, a Bob Bailey for Senate sign greets drivers cruising through the downtown district. But different images under Bob's name.
I think think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for being with us. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Happy Monday to you. We're building a liberty machine here. My name is Paul, and the phone number, if you want to call us or text, is 870-275-9799. Oh, man. Hey, Joe, have you noticed this thing on our Facebook live feed? And you can go there, facebook.com/Conduit News, folks. Have you noticed the green, at least on my desktop or my laptop, there's now like a green graphic that comes up when you have more people that are joining. Instead of, no, I mean, this is new to me. I think this is, you haven't noticed it? All right, well, it wasn't on there Friday when we had our people, watching us. Anyway, folks, we got a great show for you. But here's the big news. So as soon as we are done here today, so we just started the broadcast. It's 6:07, and then we'll be done with the live show, at 8 o'clock. There'll be, I think, Fort Smith plays the second hour, tape delayed from 8 to 9. But so at 8 o'clock, Joe and I are going on a road trip, right, Joe? We're going on a road trip. We're going to Russellville. We're going to be there for a 2 o'clock rally to get out the vote for Bob Bailey for the Senate race up in Russellville, the special election for District 16. And so really excited about that. So if all of you guys listening in the area, I mean, everybody can make their way to Russellville to do this, but obviously specifically we're talking about the people who are listening on KARV 610 AM and 101.3 FM in District 16 in the River Valley there in Russellville. And so we are going to be, let's see, where is it? It is, according to the Facebook invitation, that the event that was created today at 2 p.m. Will be, it's in the parking lot by the Brangus Steakhouse there in Russellville is where we're going to be. And that address is 1509 East Main Street. So it's going to downtown Russellville, and we're really excited to be there for this event because the stakes are really high. I don't mind telling you. And, if anything, and I said this on Friday, win or lose in terms of Bob Bailey being the anti-establishment candidate versus the other two candidates, and specifically one, Breann Davis, who is clearly backed by ASA and all of the lobbyists and all the Marble Palace establishment and everything else. Win or lose, we know something. What we know is that the establishment will go to great lengths to defeat the grassroots, that the establishment, they have a disdain, much like, and I'm going to be, this is going to make some people mad, but I don't care. Much like the mainstream media nationally and the East Coast and the West Coast and these elitists have disdain for flyover country, that is the same disdain that they have for people outside of the Marble Palace bubble at Little Rock. And it's really sad. I hate that that's the case. I hate that that's the status quo right now, but it quite frankly is. What we saw on Wednesday and Thursday of last week was a coordinated fake news attack against Bob Bailey for a local state Senate race. It played over on KIT in Eastern Arkansas. It played on the Fox affiliate in Little Rock. It played on the NBC affiliate. I got a call from a guy who is, really, let's just say he's connected in the political world, and he was telling me, he said, Paul, what's going on? He said, I saw these reports about Bob Bailey, and he said, I didn't believe him at all, but my immediate reaction was, oh my gosh, somebody somewhere and the establishment has polls that they don't like. And so you had a hit piece of fake news going back looking at Bob Bailey's Facebook post. They didn't do the research. We exposed all of the truth on Friday. We gave you the real story that these, for example, that these buttons, these pins that had a picture of a dragon on it, and it was from 1978 to 1977, and it had it was from Pecan, Illinois, Pecan High School, and they were, back in the 70s, their mascot was the Chinks. And this was a photo of these buttons that were on eBay that got put on Bob Bailey's Facebook page. He went to Pecan High School. That's where he went to school in Illinois. And the media now takes those and does statewide coverage on it to try to discredit. I'm telling you right now, the Marble Palace, Asa Hutchinson is the editor-in-chief of these news organizations. They are right there off the Capitol grounds. They're right there by the Marble Palace. They are a part of this apparatus. And it's really plain for anyone to see what a hit piece this was, and that's why I say win or lose, it is clear the lengths they are willing to go to protect, the governor's coattails, the establishment, the lobbyists. They are tired of it. Look, see, these establishment people, they lost a lot of friends. They lost a lot of friends when the Republicans started defeating Democrats. There's no question they did. And what they have done is they've evolved with the times, and they've figured out a way to maintain power. They've done that by making new friends with Republicans. And they're not about to have to remake their friends if actual conservatives, or if more conservatives, start populating the halls of the Marble Palace and start exposing the kind of stuff that's really going on down there, right? And we talked about this, why did Richard Womack in 2013, State Representative Richard Womack, why did he come out and say that he was offered a bribe? Well, it's because he came in, he came in, to power based on a limited government, new Republican wave election. That's how he come. And so then he gets approached by these lobbyists, and they probably thought, well, of course he's not going to go tell anybody he was offered a bribe. Well, he did. I mean, that's the whole problem, that we're in this, that we are in this mess because the reforms that we have all been voting for have not been enacted. There have been, okay, well, we'll go ahead and allow the state to appear red, to be a Republican state, but not really. And honestly, the brand of Republicanism that is being put out as normal, that's what the whiteboard was supposed to be, Joe. I now remembered it. I still don't have a clear thought, but as I'm sitting here talking this out this morning, for those of you that don't know, our whiteboard this morning says trust has not been earned. But I wrote this at the last minute. This is directed at Asa Hutchinson, or really it's directed at all of the Republicans out there. So far, Asa Hutchinson has done nothing to earn your trust, because everything that y'all have done to trust him has actually not transpired the way it was supposed to. And I can get back to that in a minute, but I was telling Joe I had a dream last night, and I remember thinking to myself in the dream, I was like, that's our whiteboard for tomorrow. And this was literally last night. It was, a couple hours ago. I was asleep, and I was telling Joe, I said, I figured it out. But I can't remember what it is. Well, basically, essentially what it is, it was something about how this is not normal, okay? They want you to think, Asa Hutchinson and the Marble Palace establishment want you to think that they are normal, okay? And I'm telling you that they're not normal, okay? You're normal. You're listening to this show. You're driving to work. You're in the real world. We're the normal ones, okay? The brand of republicanism that they're advancing is not the normal brand that you would see in a Tennessee or a Texas. It's just not. Not that there's not big government Republicans over there, but there's only so far they're willing to go. We have, it's not the ghost of Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton's still alive, but we have some serious problems with our institutions down there and the way things work.
We have big government Republicans with no shame.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly
Not a
right.
single ounce of shame.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. So anyway, I still can't quantify, but it had something to do. I'm just now remembering. It had something to do with them just not being normal. Anyway, maybe the exact phrase will come to me because I saw it. I saw what the whiteboard was going to say, and then I can't remember it. Is that not frustrating? Did that happen to anybody out there at all? Anyway, the phone number, call us, text us, 870-275-9799. Again, when we get off the air here at 8 o'clock, we're going to Russellville for this 2 o'clock rally by the parking lot of the Brangus Steakhouse in Russellville, 1509 East Main Street. So we'd love to see you guys there. If you have a chance, it's at 2 o'clock, and it's get out the vote. I can't wait to address the people who are there. This is big-time stuff. We have got them taking notice. The fiscal session, by the way, starts today, but who cares? I'm going to care a great deal by Wednesday. But right now, let's just see what happens, okay? Because these Senate seats are a big deal, and Asa certainly knows that. We'll talk more about that at 7. We will talk a little fiscal session and whether or not they can get to the 27 votes that they have to get to in order to re-up the funding for Obamacare Arkansas Works. Now, there are 3 Senate vacancies going on right now. If you look at, 3 of them. You've got Jake Files, Eddie Joe Williams, and Greg Standridge. That's 3. So, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, 16 is Greg Standridge. That's what I mean. So you have Greg Standridge, Jake Files, and Eddie Joe Williams. They were senators. They're no longer there, and there's special elections now that are going to take place, presumably. Okay, here's a mini controversy that I can't ignore any longer because it's hilarious to me. It just really is. But the reason I'm going to cover this, just so you know, is because I feel like it's a teachable moment. And any time I see something in the headlines that is a teachable possibility or teachable opportunity, I want to take it, especially when we can look at what our founders thought about economy and things like this. Here's the headline by Brandon Riddle. State lawmaker says UALR billboard highlighting dance majors not okay. Former Miss America Savvy Shields disagrees. So this has to do with Bart Hester. Now, Senator Bart Hester is, recently he really clashed with Conduit. He went to the, was that the Washington County? No, it wasn't Washington County. What was that? Benton County. Yeah, so he went to Benton County Republican committee, went there, and he stood up while Conduit was giving a presentation, and he said, or during the question and answer session, and he said that the Conduit organization has no integrity because they disagree with Jim Hendren. And then he tried to Bible juke everybody. He quoted a Bible verse out of context. And said that we trash Senator Jim Hendren daily. Which is, we certainly don't do it daily. But I'm sorry. It's if you don't like your record, I don't like his record. I don't like his leadership. So yeah, we talk about it a great deal because he's in charge of everything. The governor's nephew is in charge, essentially, of the state legislature. That it just is. It is what it is. So anyway, Bart Hester stands up and says Conduit has no integrity, and really just. It didn't come across well. We had the video for you. We played it. This was late last year. So, at least in the context of the show, that's pretty much the last time I think we've talked about Senator Bart Hester. If you go far enough back, he was coming on this program back during the last fiscal session because he was one of the senators who at first was saying he's not going to vote for the appropriation because he had told his people. He had told his constituents he wasn't going to vote for the private option Arkansas Works, that he was opposed to it, that he ran on being opposed to it. And then, of course, he went along with the governor's line item veto scheme to where he could vote for a bill that looked like he voted for what he wanted, but full well knowing that ASA was going to line item veto it and keep the program going. Anyway, so Senator Bart Hester decides to tweet out a critical, critical tweet about this billboard. Do we have a look at that billboard right there? It's a UNLR billboard, unlimited pathways. And he said, can you click out of that so I can read this? Why higher ed does not need increased funding. They lease assigned to encourage computer science degree. Did they lease assigned to? Okay. Okay, that's okay. They lease assigned to encourage computer science degrees or math teachers? ? No, they push for dance majors. Lots of hardworking Arkansans subsidizing this. Not okay at UALR. So there's the photo of a dance billboard trying to recruit people. Now, I didn't know this, but apparently UALR, they are the only school in the state that has a dance major for you to pursue that field of study. Okay. Well, so this got Savvy Shields involved, the 2017 Miss America. And she took issue with this. She said, quote, I disagree with this on so many levels. As an artist and a dancer, I have seen the arts influence, inspire, challenge, and transform society. Well, that's certainly an idealistic approach to what the arts can do. I mean, I will admit it's very idealistic. Transform society. Let's see. State Representative Bob Ballinger also chimed in and questioned Shields' stance on the issue. Quote, really? How so? How is art education crucial to the advancement of Arkansas? Whoa, boy. Okay, so obviously people who are on the left have pounced on these two statements because they have said, I mean, aren't the arts valuable? What are we doing? And blah, 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 blah. So as using this as a teachable moment, I would like to just quote, let's go back to the 18th century, right? This is what the left loves to do, right? In a 1780 letter, John Adams wrote to his wife, Abigail. He said, I could fill volumes with descriptions of temples and palaces, paintings, sculptures, tapestry, porcelain, if I could have time. But I could not do this without neglecting my duty. The science of government is my duty to study more than all other sciences. The art of legislation and administration and negotiation ought to take place, indeed to exclude in a manner all other arts. And here's the kicker. Ready for this, folks? I must study politics and war, that my sons may have liberty to study mathematics and philosophy. My sons ought to study mathematics and philosophy, geography, natural history, naval architecture, navigation, commerce, and agriculture in order to give their children a right to study painting, poetry, music, architecture, statuary, tapestry, and porcelain. End quote. We have to take a break because I've gone over, but think about that for a second. If you don't have engineers, nobody has any money to go watch anybody dance or go watch a play or go see a movie. So think about that, and I'll tell you more about what I think about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Happy Monday.
Bob Maloney here from ASA News, The Parrot. Breaking news from the Capitol in Little Rock. Over now to our new on-site reporter, Susan Shenanigans. Susan?
Thanks, Bob. The governor has just announced that a blue ribbon task force is to be formed.
Today, I'm asking your support for a blue ribbon legislative task force to be created and directed to recommend further reform.
Now we go live to the chamber to listen in for more information on the task force.
I hereby call this session into order. First on the agenda for today is the formation of the Blue Ribbon Task Force. Is there anyone who would like to give their thoughts on the task force?
Yes, as someone who is deeply conservative, why is the governor choosing the color blue for this task force? Sounds like he's really a Democrat loyalist. Why not a red ribbon to prove he's a true conservative?
Well, I represent Walmart, and we agree with the color of the task force ribbon. The color blue is best consistent with the Walmart brand.
I object to this choice. Blue is the wrong color ribbon for this task force.
Well, who are you?
I am Mr. P.C. Wrights, and I represent Target, and we want the ribbon to be red, not blue.
Hold it right there. This seems like a tough decision. Why not ask the governor to call a special session at a later date for an important decision as this?
I think this is something worth talking about. I motion that we decide the color of the ribbon today.
I second it. Fine. We can decide it now. Does anyone have any other suggestions for the color of the ribbon?
I think the color should be white.
Whoa. Hold on. Definitely not white.
I agree with Mr. P.C. Wrights. Maybe we should choose green for the farmers.
You like the color green because you are a farmer. I think it should be purple, so we can display how Arkansas is an extremely moderate state.
Why are we even discussing this? Shouldn't we be talking about tax reform instead of wasting time with this?
Well, the people have spoken. They believe this is worth talking about, so we are deciding this now.
Excuse me, sir, but shouldn't the color of the ribbon be rainbow to include all types of people?
Please, silence your phones.
I just received a call from Walmart HQ, and they agree with, what was your name again? My name is Fabulous. They agree with Fabulous that the color should be rainbow.
Target concurs with the decision of it being rainbow-colored ribbon.
Is there a motion to make the ribbon rainbow-colored?
I motion to make the color rainbow.
I second the motion. The motion carries because I said so.
The committee will now vote and not be on record to keep the people in the dark. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Susan. And thank you for listening to ASA News, The Parrot. Next up, there are reports of a gorilla on top of the Capitol Dome demanding massive sums of taxpayer cash. His name? Medicaid expansion.
PHP Parody. Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is building a liberty machine. Find out more at conduitnews.com.
All right. So, to editorialize here, so you have Bart Hester. He criticizes this billboard, the state spending money on a billboard trying to attract dance majors. Now, okay. We just read for you this quote, John Adams. I must study politics in war that my sons have the liberty to study mathematics and philosophy so that their sons basically can study painting, poetry, music, architecture, tapestry, porcelain, that sort of thing. And I think this is a great progression. It's a great teaching moment because it really makes you learn something about economy and how these things, these arts, the fine arts specifically, they only are industries because we don't have to worry about feeding ourselves. We don't have to worry where our next meal is coming from, right? So because of that, we have a little extra money to go create these other industries and things like that. But if your freedom and liberty is not secure. So that's why I think the arts are a good thing. I myself am a product of the arts. I understand as conservatives we can talk about spending money on the arts and dance majors versus spending money on recruiting engineers and things like that. But here's the thing, and now this is to Senator Bart Hester and anybody else. It's a lot easier to criticize a little billboard than it is to criticize Asa Hutchinson's spending, isn't it? Asa Hutchinson has spent this state into oblivion. We've increased the budget over $600 million if he gets his way by the end of his last year in office. And yet we're going to talk about a little low-hanging fruit dance billboard. Come on, why don't we direct that focus towards shrinking the size of government? That would be the best thing to do.
Online has some web browsers pumping their digital brakes.
Really?
It's so sad, man.
Current State Representative Charles Blake reacts to a Facebook post from Bailey's Firearms business page. It appears to call out Blake 2 days after the Power Ultra Lounge shooting. The post reads...
Stop. Why did he call out Blake? He doesn't say that. It calls out Blake 2 days after the shooting. Why? Why did he call out Blake? Because of the shooting? I think you're leaving, hey, KRK, I think you're leaving a pretty significant piece of information out of your little report here. What was State Representative Charles Blake's solution after 17 people were killed? It was to draft legislation to limit how much ammunition you can buy. Now, you leave that out because most Arkansans, if they heard that, would see how ridiculous it is on its face. And so, here's the actual post. And this was from Bailey Firearms. This idiot from Little Rock wants to punish us because one of his whack job brethren shot 17 people down in Little Rock. Light up his Facebook page and tell him what you think. This ain't California. Now, Bob has said that there are other people, employees, because this is his business, that have access to his Facebook posts or, a Facebook page. Okay? So, essentially that's saying that somebody else potentially wrote this. But who cares? Who cares? You see this? This is incredible. And KRK is right on the grounds of the Capitol. And you know who the chief editor of KRK is? You know who the chief editor is? Governor Asa Hutchinson. Yeah, you guessed it. That's exactly right. Hey, hey guys, ring. I got a really important, really important race I need you to focus on. Here's a Facebook post. And in case, just so you know, in case, in case he maybe didn't tell them to do the report the first time, he certainly told them to do the follow-up report last night when somehow they just decided we need to call other Republicans. We need to call Jonathan Dismang, the Senate pro temp, and we need to ask him what does he think about Bob Bailey's comments. Now, there were more we're going to get to that report here in a minute. There were more Facebook posts. Okay. Let's go to the other Facebook post they found. Well, actually, cue the report again, Joe. Again, KRK.
This idiot wants to punish us because one of his whack job brethrens shot 17 people down in Little Rock.
I have not spoken with Bob Bailey. I don't know him. I don't know I don't know how to interpret it.
Blake says this is not the first time he's seen questionable.
That's State Representative Charles Blake, who I've spoke to down at the Marble Palace before. He's actually a very, very friendly guy. And, we disagree on policy. I totally disagree that, you're going to introduce legislation. He had wasn't it him that...
The declaration will be a triumph. I tell you, a triumph. If I was ever sure of anything, I'm sure of that. A triumph. And if it isn't, we've still got 4 days left to think of something else.
All right, folks, welcome back. Happy Monday to you. It's Conduit News Radio. I'm Paul Harrell, and the phone number here is 870-275-9799. If you want to text or give us a phone call, you can also check us out at facebook.com/Conduit News, where we're broadcasting live, and that's where most of the comments and stuff come from, although we do get a lot of texts as well. And also, Joe wants me to make sure you know that we have reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel as well, and Joe wants to make sure that we say thank you for that. Now, this is interesting because we don't really promote the YouTube page that much. We really just use it as kind of an extra medium to broadcast on, and it's another place where our videos archive, and it can make it easy for us to edit things quickly. But, yes, Joe.
Yeah, okay, so because of the fact that we don't really promote this that much, like as much as we probably should, but it's whatever, it's... I feel like it's a mini milestone for us because so many YouTubers are like the first 800 or so subscribers is like such a hard thing to get to. And they are people who do this full time, push this as hard as they can. It's all they do. They spend so much time doing that. But we haven't been pushing it that much.
Yeah.
And we have 100 subscribers. I feel like that's a mini milestone for us.
What I think happens is our content goes out across the platforms like Facebook and live stream and YouTube and the terrestrial radio stations and iTunes and SoundCloud, okay? That's where we're pushing everything out to. Now, from there, if we have some, YouTube is just an easy video platform in terms of sharing things, and so we take the daily broadcast, and we did this on Friday with Bob Bailey when we were breaking down the fake news. We did this, and you take the big video, and then you can cut down, to a 2, 3, 4 minute, 10-minute segment. And I think maybe those videos are being made every day, those little ones, and those are going out. And so that may be how people are finding them, by just looking, watching the smaller versions of the show, and then they're, subscribing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and just kind of as a heads up for those who don't know, because for a long time I didn't know this, subscribing is totally free. Like, all it does, subscribing, is just send you notifications when we either go live or whenever there's a new video that comes on the web or comes on the YouTube channel.
Well, cool. Well, Joe, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And yeah, maybe we should promote it more. I mean, of course we should. You can get to that monetization level, and then we can have then we can be shut down because we're conservatives. Again, 870.
That's when we know we've hit our peak.
We're wanting to get censored here, folks. When we get censored by YouTube, we've made it. We have arrived. Okay. So moving on. I'm going to talk about the fiscal session coming up at the top of the next hour. I want to remind everybody, when the show ends today, Joe and I are going on a road trip. We're going over to Russellville, a Get Out the Vote rally for Bob Bailey. The election's tomorrow. Early voting was last week, continues to today, but tomorrow is the vote. So we're going to be at the Brangus Steakhouse parking lot next to it down Main Street, Russellville, 2 o'clock today. So if you want to meet me for any reason, I didn't even like saying that, but if you want to meet me, I'd love to meet you. Or Joe. Come to meet Joe. He'll be there, and we're gonna maybe we may even do some Facebook Live while we're there, keeping you updated and that sort of thing. But Get Out the Vote rally, folks. The establishment needs to hear from you. They think you don't matter. They have disdain for you. Again, just like the media and the East and West Coast just kind of look at flyover country like, well, we don't know how to live our own lives. We need a central planner. Everybody needs a central planner to plan their lives, to give us. And what Asa Hutchinson loves to do is actually give the people and give the legislatures he thinks are their puppets choice architecture. He likes to take the choices, and here are your choices. I've constructed both of them perfectly, and where we don't, but I'm able to actually manage what the debate is. I'm actually able to manage what the outcome is. That's what the task forces are for. The governor loves to govern by task forces because he likes to construct what the choices are going to be instead of allowing the free exchange of ideas, instead of allowing legislators to actually legislate. This is the problem. This is what we have going on down there right now. And this special election in Senate District 16 is a big deal. You have establishment versus anti-establishment, and Bob Bailey is the anti-establishment candidate. We know that because of number one, his positions. We also know that because Asa Hutchinson's giving money to his opponents, and we know that because the media attacked him last week with fake news about Facebook posts. They were trying to make you think he was racist when he's not. They were trying to make mountain out of a molehill when it came to he posted a rebel flag on his page. They posted something critical of trying to take away your Second Amendment rights after the shooting. State Representative Charles Blake, a Democrat, proposed like an ammunition ban. He was critical of that on Facebook, and they said, "Why are you critical of that?" And matter of fact, I had the perfect summary of what the real attack was, the fake news was, back right when we got off the show on Friday. I had a listener, and so I decided to tweet it because it was so good, and I was jealous that I didn't come up with it myself. And essentially, let me see if I can't find this tweet real quick. Yeah, here we go. Let's see here. Hang on. It was just a summary of the hit job there. Okay. I got a text from a listener decoding mainstream media fake news. This just in, Bob Bailey graduated high school, acknowledges crime problem, and is against gun control and supports free speech. Oh, yeah, that was the other one. There was a meme of Henry Cavill's Superman saying, I fight crime and injustice, but I don't go to Pine Bluff. I repeat, I don't go to Pine Bluff. It was an attempt at comedy, but it also has a grain of truth in it. And we exposed all that on Friday. Go check out the show on Friday if you missed it all, because we really got in-depth, and we actually interviewed Bob Bailey as well about all of that. Okay. Where are we going next here? Okay, yeah, let's go here next. Check this out. This is very interesting to me. I know. I pulled them all. I wanted people to know because Asa is kind of in a panic because he's facing criticism from the left. All last week I told you that the governor doesn't like criticism from the left. He'd rather take it from the right. He doesn't really care much about the criticism from the right unless he's got a primary like he does, in Jan Morgan. But here's this headline from the Gazette. Rachel Herzog, Arkansas governor defends babe bracket of female broadcasters, says contest is in good spirit.
New headline. Statement from governor in bad taste.
So I didn't even know what the babe bracket was until about 3 weeks ago. And we were looking at, Joe and I actually were looking at our Facebook numbers, and we were noticing that there was this uptick in social media activity for some of the network Facebook pages. And, Joe, you said maybe that's because of
the babe bracket. Because I was
controversy.
Yeah, well, controversy over the babe bracket. Because I was scrolling through I was scrolling through Twitter, and it somehow flashed up. I don't know how it got in front of me, but it flashed across my Twitter feed, and I was like, "What is this?" I had never heard of this.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what it was.
It's been going on 20 years.
What?
I didn't know this. It's been going on 20 years. This is from The Buzz. It's a Little Rock radio station, 103.7 The Buzz. And they have a lot of fun and game type radio shows and sports and that sort of thing. And for a long time now, they've had this thing called the Babe Bracket that corresponds every year with March Madness. And the brackets, your 64 teams and that sort of thing. Well, what they do is they rate female broadcast journalists. And they put them in brackets, and then they pit them against one another, and they want to know, if there's some formula. I don't even know, but eventually they want to know what we think, and then the listeners decide, and they to tell you who's hottest. And so in this matchup, who's the hotter broadcast journalist, and that one then moves on to face the next one, just like an NCAA March Madness tournament bracket. And so recently you have Austin Kellerman, who's in the is he the producer or an editor or something at the one of the mainstream media outlets here. Austin Kellerman. We've got this up on the screen. Scroll down a little bit. He wrote this blog post. What date was this? February 1st. He wrote this blog post about how the babe bracket needs to end because it's demeaning towards women, specifically women journalists who accomplish so much because they're journalists, not because they're hot. Now, I talked to my wife about this over the weekend, and we talked about the controversy, and we said, my wife said, there may be some women who are actually flattered to be on the list and have their name on the bracket this year and be in the competition at all. I don't even know. Can you even say that there are some women that would like to be honored? I mean, that would consider it an honor. Let me say that. Okay. I mean, let's be clear what this is. I mean, this is, well, I would just say it's hard for me to look at something like this and not. Obviously, this is the objectification of women. Can we say that? And I don't think that that's healthy in terms of. In terms of my personal moral compass, all right, I'm not. That's not something necessarily that I think, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Don't participate in it or whatever. I mean, have the freedom to do it. Rate whatever list is. That's the thing. If you didn't have I was telling Joe, is like, if you didn't have the Babe bracket, it's like, well, most guys are gonna have the bracket in their mind anyway. But anyway, this is really just. Quantifying something on paper. So the governor goes on this show, and he is fielding the extremely difficult questions from The Buzz, this radio station. By the way, Governor's welcome on this program anytime he wants. I got to interview Asa one time when he was running for governor the first time. He's welcome to come on the program anytime. Yeah, we'll cancel whoever we have up next to have him on. Anyway, so he goes on a very highbrow show, The Buzz, getting these I'm sure very, very difficult questions. And it comes up, so Kellerman argued, this is from the Gazette article, that the contest, which pits female journalists against each other in 4 rounds and gives listeners the opportunity to vote, is blatant objectification. Okay, I'd agree with that. On Friday's show, Hutchinson said, quote, it's like y'all have some fun and everybody enjoys it. We've got to be careful not to be too politically correct, he added. I think everybody knows the good spirit that it's in. Hutchinson noted female broadcasters' ability to fire back. I've also learned they can dish it out, too. He said they've got a pretty big microphone themselves. So this was seen as a nod of approval from the governor. Now, first of all, I've got a little bit of a speculation here. I don't think Asa even says that if he's not running for re-election. Because I think he knows that it's a popular radio show, and I think he knows that it's a popular contest, and he doesn't want to be seen as a social justice warrior on the left. So he says, you know what, no big deal. We don't need to be too politically correct. By the way, Asa is Mr. Political Correctness. I mean, this is a guy who wouldn't sign the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. This is a guy who wouldn't sign the Sharia law bill, anti-Sharia law bill. You know, he opposed and successfully had legislators defeat the anti-sanctuary campus bill. There was another bill, an anti-sanctuary city bill, that I'm told he kind of convinced to not even be run because he didn't want the controversy of anything that people on the left, social justice warriors, he doesn't want them down at the Capitol because he doesn't want to get criticism from the left. Again, he's more concerned when he is called a right-wing person by the left than he is when he is he's because he's not a conservative. Asa Hutchinson's not a conservative. So I was surprised when he said it. Well, guess what? He had to walk the comment back. Go to this Arkansas Times piece. The Bay bracket gets political. Asa backs off an endorsement. The Democrats call him down. So the Democrats start attacking Asa, and he he kind of crab walks here. And Max Brantley calls him out on it. He issued a statement. Let me see. Where's that statement? Here's the statement after him approving of the Bay bracket, saying, y'all have some fun with it, and everybody knows it's in good fun and that sort of thing. Hutchinson says, I'm a big sports fan and am an occasional guest on The Buzz. Today I quipped that the program was certainly under a lot of fire. Interesting. That's not what was reported. It was reported that you said y'all have some fun with it, and everybody knows. We don't need to be too politically correct. Today I quipped that the program was recently under a lot of fire, including from national sources. My point was simple. I believe the hosts of the show are well-intentioned, and their long-running contest was always done without any malicious intent. My comment this morning wasn't an endorsement of any contest that is based upon looks. All women should be treated with respect, and any measurement of workplace success could be based upon talent and should be based upon talent and performance. I know, he just folds. It's like the slightest pressure. For all of you people wondering, this is how every conservative felt when he caved on the Religious Freedom Restoration Act bill that he supported. He even got Democrats to flip their votes to vote for it, and then he caved when Walmart called. So it's this is his MO. This is what Asa loves to do. And so Jared Henderson, the announced Democratic candidate for governor, decided to issue a statement and attack Asa Hutchinson. Asa Hutchinson is stuck in the past defending the Bay bracket. We know radio shows have to be entertaining, but in 2018, it's time to draw a principled line in the sand to oppose sexist sentiments like this one being communicated in the workplace, on the radio, or anywhere. The governor was wrong to defend the show, and as governor, the Democrat goes on, I will set a better example for our state. We should aim high in how we treat women in our state and not encourage the lowest common denominator type behavior.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
This is a typical leftist tactic. It's called virtue signaling.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Where you go, hey, let's take this one topic and let me, by saying a statement that isn't saying, oh, this is what I believe, saying what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's very typical of the left to start showing their virtues by using virtue signaling in this fashion.
Yeah, I agree. Isn't it interesting? I'm telling you, and with it has now made national headlines. The governor's endorsement or reported endorsement, and now walking back, that's now made national headlines. Of course, he was right that a lot of people have been talking about the Bay bracket, the L.A. Times, Slate, places like that, and so the Associated Press reached out. The Associated Press reached out to Republican gubernatorial candidate Jan Morgan. What does she think about what Asa said? And she said, I'm focusing my time and attention on issues that hard-working Arkansans actually care about instead of weighing in on a senseless and sophomoric radio contest like this one. And there you go. And that is serious. That is a serious response versus a I don't know. Right? Isn't that good? Yeah, Joe is really. That's the first time you've seen that quote, right? Yeah, Joe's like, okay, that's leadership right there.
This is how you deal with this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's just say, I'm focused on the important stuff.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, Asa said what? Okay, well, whatever. Well, what's interesting is it's interesting. They probably thought they were going to get something more because Jan Morgan's a journalist, TV journalist for 27 years. And a female, exactly. And this has to do with female broadcast journalists and how attractive they are. Anyway, folks, we're going to take a break. It's Conduit News Radio, and my name's Paul Harrell. Good morning to you, and happy Monday.
Buy, sell, and trade at Triple R Pawn in Ash Flat. Firearms, computers, sporting goods, musical instruments, tools, jewelry, and everything else you can think of. It's all at Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat. Gun enthusiasts, log on now to triplrpawn.com and browse their amazing inventory. That's triplrpawn.com. You can also call them at 870-994-PAWN. That's 870-994-7296. Let the great team at Triple R Pawn help you find what you're looking for. That's Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat, triplrpawn.com, or call 870-994-PAWN. If you're like me, you believe that small business is the heart of Arkansas's economic engine, and it should be viewed that way by the politicians in Little Rock. Conduit for Commerce also believes, like you and I believe, policies that achieve less regulation and lower taxation help small business in Arkansas thrive. Other policies like small, constitutionally consistent government and reducing citizen dependency on government keeps it from growing and expanding its influence on our daily lives. Conduit for Commerce works every day to educate the general public and legislators on these important priorities in the name of Arkansas small business. By the way, contributions to Conduit for Commerce are tax deductible. Log on now to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforcommerce.org. Go there now and learn the facts on protecting small business in Arkansas.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. 870-275-9799 is the telephone number if you would like to contribute to the program today. Sorry, 1 second. Sending a text, getting something straightened out. We're excited. I guess about an hour from now, Joe and I will be leaving, going to the Bob Bailey get at the vote rally. I don't know what's going on with me on Monday. I'm having trouble. It's today at 2 o'clock in the parking lot next to the Branga Steakhouse. That's on Main Street in Russellville, and we'd love to see you guys. I understand there's a lot of momentum. Janet on Facebook saying that she will see us there, so we're excited about that. And let's see what else. Oh, we'll be talking with Bob Bailey coming up at the bottom of this hour, 7:33. And look, folks, I know we are spending, for those of you listening across the state, we're spending a lot of time on this. I think all of these special elections are very important. This one is a very clear. I think the Jake Files one will also be. Yeah, he's coming off the bottom of the hour, 7:33. I think that the other special elections, the Jake Files special election, all that's going to be a big deal too. But right now we have a clear contrast between the candidates, whether it's Arkansas Works or whether, when Bob was on and he said, we were talking about how Ace is giving money to his opponents. Bob said, well, I guess it could be worse. He could have given money to me, because then that would have really confused things. You're getting support from Mesa. Would have kind of muddied the water a little bit. Also, on Friday, we did talk about the contrast between Senator Jonathan Dismang publicly coming out and criticizing Bob Bailey over the mainstream media fake news over his Facebook posts. And Dismang he was nowhere to be found when Jake Files was guilty of the crimes last year that he pleaded guilty to this year. And none of them would ever come out and criticize the chair of the Revenue and Taxation Committee for stealing taxpayer dollars, for being implicated in a sworn FBI affidavit, for applying for a search warrant that he committed wire fraud and he stole general improvement money. And Senator Jonathan Dismang can't be bothered to say that Jake Files should resign, but he gets one call from the mainstream media on some phony fake news Facebook post that Bob Bailey had on his Facebook page, and all of a sudden he has found the strength to comment and say that he needs to apologize to the district that Pine Bluff is in and everything else. I mean, give me a break. It's just a big joke. I said that these guys are a joke. They are desperate to protect the Marble Palace establishment, and at this point, at all costs. I was reading an article we're going to talk about here in a little bit at the top of this next hour, which has to do with the fiscal session that does start today at the Marble Palace. Michael Wickline's piece, Medicaid Expansion High on Arkansas's Fiscal Session To-Do List. And I've read this article several times from start to finish, and I got discouraged. I'm going to be honest with you. I was discouraged just because I'm reading stuff that I know is not true in some cases. I'm seeing the process unfold. I'm seeing how they try to create the choices, and they try to box people in and things like that. And it really is it is frustrating. And I think to myself, when will the truth actually be accepted? I mean, we know what the truth is outside of the bubble. The people are getting the truth. I think they're going to vote accordingly. But when will the truth be accepted, right? When will it be accepted down at the Marble Palace? When will they stop lying? When they are now trying to eat their cake and have it. They are now saying that the less people that are on Arkansas Works, the more money that Arkansas saves. Well, what if we end the program? Oh, well, if we end the program, then Arkansas is going to lose money. Now, wait a second. What? Well, there'll be a budget hole. What? Cindy Gillespie said the less people, the director of DHS in front of the committee said, well, we save money the less people that are on it. That's a big deal. Okay, well, if we end the program, how much more money are we going to save? Well, now they come out and they say, no, well, we'll actually lose money if we were to end the program. Come on. Where's the truth? Why are they lying to us? Well, it's because they like the program. They like dependency. And I guess under the leadership of Asa, when it comes to health care, we are all socialists now. And that's a sad, sad thing. one more hour coming your way next.
The news and talk of Northeast Arkansas. This is News Talk 101.3 FM and 12:30 AM KBTM, Jonesboro, an EAB radio station.
Had the legislation drafted to remove the star or rename the star on the Arkansas flag. Right now one of those stars stands for the Confederacy, and he wanted to take that down. Okay. All right. So keep going here, because there are other Facebook posts that you just can't believe were posted. Listen to this.
Posts from Bob Bailey. This one appears to show a meme Bailey shared, mocking Superman and the disinterest in fighting crime in Pine Bluff.
Stop.
Or this one.
Look at that. Okay, here's the meme. It's, oh my goodness. This one appears to mock Pine Bluff. It's a picture of Henry Cavill Superman, and the meme says, I fight crime and injustice, but not in Pine Bluff. I do not go to Pine Bluff. Okay, all right. So apparently, if you claim that Pine Bluff has a crime problem, you're disqualified to be a state senator. And by the way, it's not even his district. He's up in Russellville and beyond. Wow, that's interesting. I want you to think of the dynamic here. I want you. This is such a hit job. This is a hit job. The only thing Asa Hutchinson has, and the establishment has, is here's a candidate. He's limited government. He's conservative. He made these Facebook posts. He must be a racist. He's a racist. They're playing the race card, and this is how desperate Asa Hutchinson is. This is how desperate the Marble Palace establishment is to stop at all costs anyone who's going to disagree and not bow down and worship the Republican R at the end of his name. But here we go. You have Mike and Neil, who's pled guilty. You have Jake Files, who's pled guilty. You have John Woods, who's in the middle of a public corruption trial. And these three cases are not an anomaly. You have these lobbyists who are supporting Bob Bailey's opponent, and they are all intertwined with Michael Lamoureux, Bruce Hawkins, all of these guys. They represent the status quo. You got another guy saying, you know what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be part of that. I want to represent the people. And this is what he gets. He gets attacked. It's absolutely, it's disgusting. Thank you, Joe. It is absolutely disgusting. So you look at the status quo, you look at the Jake Files status quo and everything else, and you say, okay, someone is saying that there's violence in Pine Bluff or there's crime in Pine Bluff versus more corruption. More of the same, more of the Jake Files, the John Woods, the Mike and Neil, the loans from lobbyists, the Michael Lamoureux, all of that good old boy system. You want more of that, or do you want somebody who criticizes and says, hey, you know what, there's a crime problem in Pine Bluff? I mean, which one do you want, folks? That's your choice, and you can see they are spinning out of their minds here. And if you ever have had any doubt at all that Asa Hutchinson, who is a Republican, somehow controls the mainstream media in this state, I rest my case. Case is rested. All right, now hang on, keep going here because there's more Facebook posts. Oh my gosh, what else? What else could it possibly be?
Showing photos of buttons that read "Think Chink," and this one defending the Confederate flag.
Okay, divisive language, coming.
All right, so here's this button. I don't even know. This is a photo of a button. I guess I don't know. It's Pekin High School, which are dragons, and it's from 1978, 1979. And yeah, it says something that's offensive nowadays. But, okay, oh, my goodness, this guy can't be a state senator. Oh, my gosh. What a hit job. These guys, and then, oh, my goodness, he posted a Confederate battle flag. Bob Bailey, he said this, in defiance of the stupidity that I refuse to participate in. You know what he's referring to here? He's referring to the editing of history. Something that part of the Republican Party was perfectly happy to do. They were happy to participate in the mentality that if we somehow erase history by separating Martin Luther King Jr. With Robert E. Lee on the same day, that somehow that's going to end disagreements. And the left's going to be satisfied. And the Republicans are finally going to prove that they're not racist, which is stupid to try to prove anyway, because you're just adopting the left's contention that you are racist, and you're not. Okay, but the left's not satisfied. The left still wants to remove Confederate statues. The left wants to now remove statues of our founding fathers. We have these people who go around when they do finally tear down one of these statues. They treat these statues like they are sentient beings. They flip the statues off. These are crazy people. I mean, these are people, they try to, like, do some, like, WWE moves on these statues, like...
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
They seem to be in full-scale retreat from spending cuts and are talking about raising people's taxes again. And I have only one thing to say to the tax increasers. Go ahead, make my day.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell is on now.
All right, folks, welcome back. We got Christine on Facebook who is saying, I always love the whiteboard messages. Thank you, Paul, for saying what reasonable people are thinking. Christine, I appreciate that as well. Our whiteboard this week says trust has not been earned. That is essentially everything. I mean, that encompasses everything in the last, I don't know what, let's see, since 2015. So, 2.5, 3 years. Everything that has happened has not... trust has not been earned. The leadership of the Republican Party and their massive majorities, the leadership, they have not earned the trust of the people. My argument this week is they haven't earned the trust of these legislators to continue to blindly follow whatever it is you're told. To continue to blindly follow what the establishment tells you and presents to you as fact or spin, or this is how you sell it. There's no longer, in my opinion, for a reasonable person to continue to go down this path, because I think it's insanity. I think it's absolute insanity to continue to go down this path. Matter of fact, Joe, the reason Joe and I off of the, off air, we were just talking about a potential candidate, somebody that maybe thinks that they have aspirations to run for office someday, and we were talking about it, and I was just like, Joe, the reason I was just, had the attitude I had about it is because I was like, everybody can label themselves a conservative, or everybody can label themselves whatever they want, but if they don't understand the environment they're going down to, their labels mean nothing. If they don't understand that they can't trust they can't trust their own colleagues. For the most part, you can't even trust your own people to tell you what a bill's going to do, or you know what I mean? I mean, you can't. You can't trust the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats get down to the end of the table and they lie to you. They say things that are proven false a week later, but the bill's already out of committee and past the House, and it's all over. And so this is the danger that we have here. Asa Hutchinson wants you, and when I say you, I'm talking to the legislature right now, the people driving to the Marble Palace right now for the first day of the fiscal session. Asa Hutchinson wants you to follow his lead, to give him what he wants. He wants the funding for Arkansas Works. He wants the welfare program to continue. He wants you to go along yet again with this Arkansas Works, a thing that he invented in 2015 that was supposed to be a rebranding because people found out that the private option was Obamacare. Once the people found out the private option was Obamacare, Asa decided to rename it to Arkansas Works with the hopes of work requirements. And now we have a President Trump that supposedly is going to grant the work requirements. But are they really work requirements? Is it what it was sold to be? Is it a part-time work requirement? I guess so. I mean, if you actually can get them to work, it's only a part-time work requirement, because if you work full-time, you don't qualify for the program at minimum wage. But then there's exemptions. There are a lot of exemptions of getting around the actual part-time work requirement. But weren't we supposed to have the work requirements a year and a half ago? The answer is yes. That's what they told us. Yeah, we're going to have the work requirements. Well, then we found out that they weren't real work requirements. I had to expose, Conduit exposed, that it was actually a work referral requirement. It was carefully crafted language. You have to understand something, Senator or State Representative. This is all being done to deceive the people with propaganda. It was a controversial thing to continue the program the last time, and so they came out with work referral requirements. They handed you another piece of carefully crafted language to sell to the people to make them think that you're doing something conservative when in reality you're doing nothing. And then the program balloons to 330,000, and then just enough time, just in time for Governor Hutchinson's re-election year where he has a primary, all of a sudden they start editing and they start kicking 80,000 people off the program just in the nick of time. When we had 36 months of people on this program and he did nothing about it because Arkansas was making money off of the federal taxpayers for 36 months having ineligible people on this program. That's the facts, folks, and you have to see this, Mr. State Representative or Mr. Senator. Trust has not been earned at this point. Taking an objective view of where we are, the trust has not been earned. The control of the entire General Assembly, the orders being followed by the governor's nephews, and one in particular controlling the General Assembly for the most part, and making sure that Uncle's agenda is safe and being executed and implemented. It's time for a new direction. What do you think? And here's the thing, General Assembly, you guys have the power to decide what that new direction is, independent of family ties, nephew, uncle. You guys have the constitutional authority to stand up, to hold together, to not just be loyal to the R in front of Ace's name or at the end of his name, but to actually be loyal to the principles that you were elected on, of fiscal conservatism, of not spending more and more money. And folks, all of you should be challenging the assertion of the governor. If you're a Republican, every one of you should be challenging the Republican governor's assertion that less people, his department, his executive branch said, the less people signed up for Arkansas Works, the more money we save. Then the question was asked, well, what happens if we save money? What happens if we get rid of the program? And now all of a sudden, no, that will cost us money. It'll cost us the $64 million surplus that's projected, if you can believe the governor's projections, which you and I, Mr. State Representative and State Senator, both know you can't trust what their projections are. Trust has not been earned. There is a record. And I would just encourage you guys. I know it just doesn't sound very encouraging, but I would encourage you. You guys have constitutional authority to represent your constituents and the will of the people, and you need to do that first instead of representing ASA or representing Little Rock. You represent your district. You don't have to balance between your district and Little Rock. You represent your district. Represent the people who put you there. That's my encouragement to you. And have a different attitude. Who cares? Okay, fine. Maybe the governor will find a primary opponent for you. So what? All right. But just do the right thing. And I'm telling you right now, this is a record that is not conservative. You guys want to know why? You guys want to know why you didn't do so hot on scorecards? Not just one scorecard, not just Conduit for Commerce's scorecard, but Family Council and American Conservative Union. It's because all these people are scoring what you do. They're not scoring, but uncle and nephew number one, it was okay to vote this way because we were actually doing X. We were actually doing X. That doesn't matter what you were told you were doing. These other groups actually are bills, and they know what you're doing, and they know how you voted. Consider who you are following. Consider the track record up to this point. And if you are tired of being told to get in line, and if you are tired of not having your constitutional authority as an elected representative, seeing the full scope of that power, then do something about it. There are conservatives who are ready to help you. You guys who've kind of been in the middle. And you know what? They'll throw a fit. It's not going to be pretty. It'll be ugly. It'll be controversial. The mainstream media will turn on you because you're rocking the boat. They'll be told to turn on you, just like they were told to do statewide coverage on a Senate candidate, Bob Bailey, over fake news Facebook posts that were probably it was just a hit job that they didn't even research. Yeah, they'll do that to you, and that's why the establishment and everything, they do stuff like that to remind you that if you do step out of line, you're next. The telephone number is 870-275-9799. We're broadcasting live also at facebook.com/Conduit News. You can check us out there, participate in the conversation. Insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's what Christian writes on Facebook. And we've heard that before, but this is the truth. So, looking at Michael Wickline's piece, Medicaid expansion high on Arkansas's fiscal session to-do list. And we're talking about, are we talking about separating the funding? No. The governor is so resolved to continue this welfare program for able-to-work adults. He is so determined to not lead us out of Obamacare, even though they've repealed they've gotten rid of the individual mandate. He's so determined that if for some reason they don't have the 27 votes that they have to have out of the 35 in the Senate, the governor says he'll just call a special session at a later date after the special elections. After the special elections for the 3 vacant Senate seats. You have Senate District 8, 16, and is that 29 down there in Little Rock? I think so. Jake Files, Greg Standridge, and Eddie Joe Williams. Those are your vacancies. And the governor says, well, if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll just call for a special session to get the money at a later date. I want to talk to the anti-Obamacare members of the legislature for a second. You guys have been amazing. You in the Senate and in the House. You guys have given the grassroots hope for so many years. You guys have championed what is truly a limited government philosophy, conservative approach, and that has been awesome. And you guys have been an annoyance to the establishment. You guys have been pestering them. You guys have been reminding them that they are not conservatives, and that's why they get mad at you, because when you vote in a true principled way, you have a better record than they do, and they honestly get jealous of that. They don't like that because the inconsistency of following and worshiping the R at all costs is now on paper. You have a voting record, and now they look more liberal. It's because they are more liberal, but they don't like to look like. They don't like that there is tangible evidence and proof of it in a voting record, and they don't like that. That's why they like all of the group to go along together. The anti-Obamacare force in the state legislature needs to be commended and thanked. Many of these people are the same who were anti-internet sales tax and anti-tax increase, and the ones that were trying to stop all of the revenue generation that Asa and the nephews were trying to accomplish. And so they need to be thanked. They need to be encouraged. And I would just say, you guys continue to hold on, continue to do the right thing. Everything they've ever said about this program has been wrong from a conservative perspective. Oh, wait, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We can do it. We can drive the big government car better than the Democrats. Just let us drive. We've been studying how to drive a lot better, a lot easier. It's all been a lie. It's all been a scam. All of it has. And we're to the point now where I think it's time to end it for good and begin to heal the Republican Party that has been divided for years now over this issue. And it's time to end it. It's time to reset. They're not going to make this thing what they claim. They're just not going to. They never have been able to. And it's certainly not going to be. Come on, folks. It's certainly not going to be made better by the same guys who have been wrong time and time and time again, and they're still lifted up in the media as credible sources for what's going to happen with the program next. If you'll talk to a Democrat or a leftist, they'll tell you everything about this program has happened exactly the way they planned. It's just not what they told the conservatives. But with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and the hospitals, this has been about a guaranteed taxpayer-funded revenue stream to support, quote, private business. And those private business then hire lobbyists with the money, and the lobbyists make sure everything stays the way it is. Some of that money goes to campaign contributions. Some of that money goes to lobbyist salaries, and then the lobbyists themselves personally donate money to nonprofits, and then those nonprofits pay Michael Lamoureux for fundraising for that organization, $120,000. We got to take a break. Back in just a moment. Order. In the name of public safety, order. This meeting of the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing state licensing boards is called to order in the name of public safety. What's on the agenda for the day?
We have before us today, per our summons, a representative from the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing cosmetology, cosmetologist, and all things hair care and beauty.
Right. Of course, I remember this. In the name of public safety, ma'am, please state your name for the record, and thank you for appearing before us today.
Yes, my name is Cosmo Glamour Gazette, and I'm here in response to a letter our state board received claiming we're in violation of the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing state licensing boards. In the letter, you claim that our licensing board is in violation of your rules and regulations because we have failed to, quote, pay tribute, end quote, and therefore have not been granted a license by the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing licensing boards to, quote, shake down the Arkansans who have an interest in cosmetology, end quote.
In the name of public safety, order. Yes, Miss Gazette, we sent you that letter because you have not obtained our approval in the form of a license from our board to distribute licenses to the professional class your board strives to protect. In the name of public safety, of course.
Of course.
So, in the name of public safety, and just so we can get this for the record, you do admit and agree with our board, the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing state licensing boards, that you have not obtained a license, thereby revealing your board of cosmetology to be operating outside our rules, regulations, and authority?
Well, sir, I'm not sure our board agrees that we need a license from your board to continue to shake down, to look out for the public safety of Arkansans.
In the name of public safety.
In the name of public safety.
Well, it seems we are at a bit of an impasse if we are not in agreement that your board owes us tribute.
Sir, maybe we could ask and see if there's a bureaucrat in the house.
Oh, yes. Yes, that would shed some light on things. A bureaucrat. Yeah, in the name of public safety, is there a bureaucrat in the house? We need someone to resuscitate and confirm our authority as the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing state licensing boards.
Here.
Ah, yes. Oh, good. Come to the end of the table in the name of public safety and state your name for the record, please.
Yes, I am Despot Ringleader, the head of the bureau governing all state bureaus, and it is my testimony the Arkansas State Licensing Board governing state licensing boards does have the authority to demand tribute in this situation and will provide in exchange a license to say they can continue to operate in the name of public safety.
It's hard to argue when the public safety is put at risk. Very well. We will consider Mrs. Ringleader's testimony as truth, and we will pay tribute in the name of public safety, of course.
In the name of public safety.
In the name of public safety.
Determined to drain the swamp in Little Rock, it's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Yeah, so one of the key components here that I completely missed and forgot to bring you during my monologue, it was meant to be encouraging, but I don't know if it was. Headline, this is from the Times Record. Arkansas Works cost increases 14% per enrollee. The Associated Depressed reporting that recent state figures show the average cost per person of subsidized private health insurance under Arkansas Works increased by more than 14% last month. Now, of course, it's because of premium increases and things like that, but 14%, I mean, good grief. The state made payments last month to insurance companies that averaged $578 per health enrollee. $578. That's a 14.4% increase from the average $505. Think about how here's the thing. One last thing. I'm running out of time here. We're up against the hard break. Every single one of you needs to ask if this waiver that Asa Hutchinson is going to demand your vote. We've got a waiver. It's coming. We promise. We promise it's coming. Well, ask Asa, how come Kentucky has theirs and we don't have ours public yet? How come Kentucky has theirs and we don't have ours yet? Ask him that, and specifically ask this. Are you going to get the 8% down to 100% of federal poverty exemption. Are they going to approve that? Because if they're not going to approve it, all of a sudden Arkansas Works is a lot more expensive than they're leading on, and yet they want your vote to spend $578 per month per enrollee. That's a ton of money, folks. Back in a minute. They're just getting all of their aggression and anger. The videos are out there, and yet our Republican, and Asa Hutchinson spoke for it, like, okay, we're going to do this, and it's all for show. And so, I don't know what the date was when this was posted, but we know that there is a movement to try to edit our history so that people are not offended in an attempt to reach some sort of perfection that you're never going to reach. And I've talked a lot about how the real problem with the left and the young people who are trying to edit this is that they recognize injustice, but they have no way to reconcile it, because we've pushed God out of our society, and he's the only thing that can reconcile injustice. This whole thing is a hit job. I've never seen anything quite like it, in Arkansas. But the election is a couple of days away. Election's a couple of days away. Early voting is going on, and like clockwork, we got to get out in front of this. We got to try to derail Bob Bailey's campaign because we can't possibly have him winning this. So let's go on his Facebook and let's make a non-issue. Let's make an issue out of what is a non-issue. And then let's get other Republicans like Senator Missy Irvin, who's commented on this now, or the President Pro Temp, Jonathan Dismang, who's commented on this now. And we're going to take a break, going to get to some Johnny Cash music, and when we come back, I'm going to get to their comments. And you just know that Governor Asa Hutchinson is behind this. He wants loyalists. He wants people to pledge fealty to him, and Bob Bailey has refused to do so. The other candidates have endorsed his Arkansas Works plan, which is completely bogus. It's the continuation of a scam to give Blue Cross and Blue Shield all kinds of money, and it's extremely frustrating. The telephone number, call me or text me, 870-275-9799. We got to go to break. Back in just a moment. If you're just joining us, mainstream media is now attacking Senate candidate Bob Bailey for Facebook posts, essentially alluding that they are racist. We were just talking about this one post. It's a picture of buttons. It's a picture of high school buttons that say "Think Chink" on them, and there's a dragon there. Okay, you see it's from Pekin High School from 78 to 79. That's the high school he went to. That's where Bob Bailey went to school. And so this disqualifies him, according to the mainstream media. This disqualifies him because he took a picture of buttons that used to be appropriate, that once were not considered what they are today. He also posted a Confederate battle flag on his page one time. He also posted, what else? Is that a school from Illinois?
Exposing the truth and everything the Marble Palace establishment keep trying to cover up. It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Apparently me drinking out of this cup would disqualify me for future political office, according to the mainstream media's double standards. All right, so, or standards, sorry. Standards, rather. It would be a double standard to say that, Mike Beebe was governor. So, I mean, come on. That would be the double standard. Folks, welcome back to the program, and also welcome back our special guest. We have Mr. Bob Bailey is back with us. He's a candidate for State Senate District 16. Special election is tomorrow, but we're doing a Get Out the Vote rally. I'm leaving for Russellville as soon as the program is over here in about 20 minutes. Bob Bailey, welcome back, sir.
Good morning, Paul. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Good morning. So how's the weekend going? I mean, how's the weekend been? I know it was probably a lot of door knocking and trying to get people on the phone and say, hey, we got a special election coming up.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we've been doing the last few days. We've been fortunate to have several volunteers come in from various areas and do some phone calling with us and door knocking. And we've been busy, but we've been getting some help, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Is there still any, we've talked extensively on Friday and some today about the attack that you received, the fake news, them drumming up those Facebook posts. Is that having an effect, or is it having the effect that you think that was desired, or is it actually kind of backfiring on some people?
Oh, it's definitely having an effect. I can't tell you how many people came by Friday and said, man, we never knew there was a special election. We never heard of you. We got to checking your Facebook, and we're voting for you. I've had people driving by in their trucks, thumbs up, and telling me, man, I saw it. I loved it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for giving us a choice. So, yeah, it's having an effect. Whether it's the one that they intended on or not, I'm not sure. But we've had virtually all positive comments about that little hit job and no negatives that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Oh, I think even if you were, persuaded to vote somebody other than you, if you were just look at the reporting from an objective, it screams like this is some sort of hit piece. It's very contrived journalistically. It just doesn't make any sense, and because they don't even have proof. I mean, they didn't even research their attacks. They're very easy to see through what they were trying to do here.
Well, I had a guy approach me, and he's on the radio up here quite often, and he said that was the most blatant misuse of public airwaves he had ever seen, and he had been making calls all the way up to the top of the line to voice his displeasure.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you got a little bit of a clue and you're paying attention, I mean, most people that I'm aware of read right through that stuff. I had several people come by and say, hey, man, we saw the big difference between you and your candidates, and if the governor doesn't want you, we're the one you're going to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that. So,
yeah.
I think it's kind of been turned around on them. It's given us more exposure than we would have had without it. And from what I'm seeing and hearing out there at the booth in front of the election place, it's had more of a, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm willing to fight for you guys. Hey, Asa doesn't want me here. And most people are saying, hey, you know what? We need some change. You're it. We didn't even know about it until they put this up there. And I've had a bunch of people thanking me, shaking my hand, saying, man, thanks for giving us a choice.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
exactly.
It's had an effect.
We're talking with Bob Bailey, folks. He's the Senate candidate for Republican for Senate District 16. The election is tomorrow. Bob, when you were on the program on Friday, you mentioned the word servant, and somebody had said that you've got to have a servant's demeanor when you go down there, and you said something that I thought was really powerful. Matter of fact, we clipped it out and made a separate video of it, circulated that around Facebook. That servants do what they're told, and they follow orders basically just without any protests. And you said we don't need servants, we need leaders.
Well, there is a time to be a servant, and there's a time to stand fast. And, when I think of being a servant, I'm thinking of serving the people that voted me in, not anybody else, not one man with an agenda, not several other people with an agenda, but serving what they want, what they need. Sometimes you just have to stand fast in the wind and buck up and grab onto something and fight for what you believe. Mm-hmm. That's not the time to be a servant.
You're exactly right. And right now, and I think honestly, I'm glad in a way that this fake news attack happened, because I think it made us all realize how desperate they are, how valuable they see this seat is. I think it maybe even is, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but I mean, I think you realize that the stakes are pretty high right now as well, right? I mean, after the links, to see the links they're willing to go to?
Yeah, I see them. I mean, they're, I'm not going to lie, I didn't think they were that desperate down there. This just shows to illustrate that they are.
Oh, man.
They're wanting this Obama stuff, or Arkansas work stuff to pass.
Mm-hmm.
He's already, the governor's already come out and said, hey, if I can't get it here, we'll do a special election. Well, you know how I think about special elections. I think if you can't get something to pass in a regular session, going around it and having a special election where less people vote,
special session, yeah.
Special session. I think that's deceitful. I think it's political trickery, and I don't like that either.
So we're going to be at this Get Out the Vote rally. It's today at 2 o'clock. It's in Russellville down on Main Street. It's the parking lot by the Brangus Steakhouse. So you guys come on out. Everybody that's listening across the state, feel free to to immigrate to the great city of Russellville. But those of you who are in Senate District 16, who are listening right now on 610 AM and 101.3 FM, KARV, or those of you listening on Facebook Live or YouTube or any of our other platforms, you guys feel free to come out. I'm going to be there. I'd love to meet you guys, but I think you really need to meet Bob Bailey. Now, Bob, tell us real quick, because I've got activists from all across the state who are interested in helping you. And I have one who's texted me and said that they're planning to go to Russellville to help make phone calls. Can Bob announce where you can go to make phone calls if you want to help the campaign?
Yes, I've got a young lady that is specifically set up to do that. We've been doing that in one of the local churches, and when you get up here, we'll tell you where that's at. You can go there, announce your intentions, and she will hook you up.
Okay.
I mean, we've got phone banks going pretty much all the time, and the woman that's doing this, Rachel, is very efficient at what she does, and that would be great.
I have another text from another activist wanting to know if they can help you phone bank, but can they do it from their home? Is that do we know if that's
I'm
a thing?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay. We'll figure it out then.
I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure it out. That's a good question though. I think that there's a lot of people that want to help, but maybe they can't actually get to Russellville and that sort of thing. So
certainly they could get on their phone, call everybody they know that can vote up here, and say, "Hey, vote for me."
Yeah,
or just go to the. A lot of people want to know what they're voting for. I respect that. I appreciate that. Just tell them to go to our website, Bob Bailey for Senate 16 on Facebook, and click on the issues and see exactly where we're standing at.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. So let me just ask you this: can we? Is it possible that you have? I mean, obviously Arkansas Works is a big issue, and we've talked about that a lot. But I also know, and I want to remind everybody, I mean, but your business is firearms, right? So you are a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, and I mean, it is what it says it is, right? I mean, and so that's your position on that.
Well, you know what I tell people there? I say, go to my other firearms page, Bailey Signature Firearms, and check it out and remove all doubt.
Yeah. I mean, what do we say? I was just, like last week, I was interviewing Dan Wass in his book, Good Gun, Bad Guy, right? Isn't it funny, though? I mean, because it's all about the mindset of the anti-gun radicals. But isn't it weird? I mean, do you find it strange at all that we live in Arkansas and yet we have politicians that are not willing to stand up for our Second Amendment rights? I mean, the governor himself won't actually come out and tell the Arkansas police and tell all the prosecutors that we have constitutional carry. I mean, instead he said, check with your local prosecutor. Isn't that very strange? I mean, this is Arkansas. You think with the culture of guns that we have, we wouldn't be in this political correct purgatory almost.
Yeah, I find it a little bit strange, but you gotta look at the polls. Arkansas is typically 5th or 6th in gun ownership in most of the polls that you see. And, here's the thing. Guns do not fit in a globalist utopia. So depending on your political bent, if you're a globalist, you're not going to come out and say, hey, I'm a globalist. You're going to act like a globalist. You're going to vote like a globalist, but you're going to say, well, I'm a Republican conservative, and you're going to attack the Second Amendment any which way you can. And that's what it's about. That's what I'm seeing, And people that attack firearms, that gives you a good indication of where they are at on everything else. I mean, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People who attack fire. I agree. I mean, that it does seem to kind of fall in line with all the other liberal issues too, because it's like you don't need to have that freedom, or right. you can have that freedom, but
we're going to regulate that freedom.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
How can you regulate freedom? I mean, you're basically saying, I don't trust you to be able to defend yourself. And a lot of people say, well, defending yourself comes from the state. It comes from the government. No, it actually does not. It is a God-given right. We have protections in place to keep the state and the feds off of it, to leave it alone. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't aware of that. They think, well, we got to have a license to protect ourselves. No, you really don't. It's a God-given right.
Yeah, we really don't treat the Second Amendment like we treat any of the other amendments in the Bill of Rights.
Well, a lot of people have a hard time understanding shall not be infringed and what that actually means.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly do. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at, like, if you look at the Fourth Amendment or things like that, it's just, or the other amendments, it's like we don't. Now I know people want free speech zones. I mean, I know people have argued for that, which is kind of the beginning of it. But it just seems like we don't. And Trey Gowdy has an excellent Congressman Trey Gowdy. He dressed down somebody from the Obama administration one time, trying to get them to admit, hey, why don't we treat the First Amendment the way we're treating the Second Amendment when it comes to, I think they were trying to put people on lists or something, or take away their flying privileges or something. It was weird. But it really is, if you were to lose the Second Amendment is really, I feel like, one of the things that keeps the government in check, because it's not for hunting or fishing necessarily. It's really just for, hey, we need to protect ourselves or potentially protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. And that, of course, when you say that, makes everybody nervous.
Oh, yeah, it does. It causes some people to lose sleep and have the shivers at night, But you got to remember, if you look at the amendments, the first one is the right to free speech. The second one is the right to bear arms. Now, they put that in that particular order for a reason, because if you want to have free speech, sometimes throughout history that has required the use of weapons to back up your free speech. I mean, the founding forefathers, they knew what they were doing. They'd been through all this stuff before with England, and I think they got it right by making it the Second Amendment, not the last amendment or the Eighth Amendment or the Seventh Amendment. They made it the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a student of history, if you understand history, and I mean real history, not the revisionist stuff that they've been teaching here in school the last decade or so, you will understand how important the right to bear arms and protect yourself is. I mean, gun control, weapon control goes all the way back. I mean, in England, they did away with bows, They actually registered bows, and they did away with swords, and they did away with spears, and they did away with weapons of war. And this is something that's been going on since the beginning of time, and it's done all in the name of public safety to protect us from ourselves, but it's done by tyrants that don't want you to have the ability to shoot them if they get too crazy with you. That's what it's all about. That's all it's ever been about, and that's all it's ever going to be about. It's tyranny.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And I like that observation on the just the psychology behind the First Amendment and those 5 freedoms there, petitioning the government, speech, religion, press, all of that stuff, and assembly. And then it's like, in order to secure those things, we want to make sure that the second one is, after we just fought the most powerful military force in the world at the time, we know that, letting individuals keep firearms is a check on government's authority and power. And if you look at the 20th century, Bob, I mean, when you have these people, when the people are disarmed, what comes next is really is death and murder of mass populations.
Right, that's right. Governments and genocide, governments are the biggest killers of people. Look throughout history. It's not man on man, it's government on citizens. And they'll separate various groups of citizens. We saw the Jews in World War II. You see Muslims versus Christians. I mean, if you look at Sudan, you have a North Sudan and a South Sudan, and that's basically Muslim versus Christian. And the people were disarmed, and the Muslims started eradicating Christians, and finally they took up guns for themselves and started a civil war and eventually won their independence. So, history has all kinds of examples of what happens, one, when you get rid of weapons to defend yourself, and shortly thereafter, history proves itself over and over and over. You know, it's governments.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for your candidacy, and I know it's voting days tomorrow, and I know early voting's still going on today, right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, there's a little bit better turnout than what they expected.
Good.
Seems like a lot of people are catching on and coming out and vote. Of course, all three of the campaigns, that's one of their main messages: get out and vote, because special elections are underreported. And,
right.
A lot of people they go by, and a lot of people say, "Man, I didn't even know there was a special election."
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's one of the things we're putting out to
listen,
try to avoid.
I know you're anti-establishment. That's why I'm coming to this rally today at 2:00 at the parking lot by the Brangus Steakhouse there on Main Street in Russellville. That address is 1509 East Main Street in Russellville. Now, Bob, I'm going to be there before 2, but I can't wait. Okay. I know you're going to be there. I just encourage everybody out there to come out. It's a get-out-the-vote rally, the establishment versus the anti-establishment. And right now, the status quo and establishment, they're doing everything they can to keep Bob Bailey from getting this seat. And, Bob, I just want to say that I appreciate you being principled, and I appreciate you being anti-establishment and recognizing that the people are not being represented, and you're wanting to represent the people more accurately, and I just want to commend you for that.
I just have one agenda, just one, and that's do the right thing. That's all I'm about, just do the right thing. And I don't see just a whole lot of that happening from where I'm looking.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do my best to get in there and just stand fast against the hard wind sometimes,
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you certainly know that it is a hard wind just based on the campaign process, and so that's a good thing that you know what kind of environment you're going into down there. Bob Bailey, I'll talk to you later this afternoon, sir.
Okay, I'll look forward to meeting you.
All righty. Yes, sir. Folks, we're going to take a break, and if you're just joining us, if you're in the Russellville area, I'm going to be in Russellville today at 2:00. Me and Joe are leaving here as soon as we get off the radio here in about 8 minutes. It's Conduit News Radio. This is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Happy Monday to everybody out there.
Buy, sell, and trade at Triple R Pawn in Ash Flat. Firearms, computers, sporting goods, musical instruments, tools, jewelry, and everything else you can think of. It's all at Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat. Gun enthusiasts, log on now to triplrpawn.com and browse their amazing inventory. That's triplrpawn.com. You can also call them at 870-994-PAWN. That's 870-994-7296. Let the great team at Triple R Pawn help you find what you're looking for. That's Triple R Pawn at the Light in Ash Flat, triplrpawn.com, or call 870-994-PAWN. If you're like me, you believe that small business is the heart of Arkansas's economic engine, and it should be viewed that way by the politicians in Little Rock. Conduit for Commerce also believes, like you and I believe, policies that achieve less regulation and lower taxation help small business in Arkansas thrive. Other policies like small, constitutionally consistent government and reducing citizen dependency on government keeps it from growing and expanding its influence on our daily lives. Conduit for Commerce works every day to educate the general public and legislators on these important priorities in the name of Arkansas small business. By the way, contributions to Conduit for Commerce are tax deductible. Log on now to conduitforcommerce.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforcommerce.org. Go there now and learn the facts on protecting small business in Arkansas.
The eagle's going to crack the shell of the egg that England laid. Yes, so we can tell on this humid Monday morning in this congressional incubator.
And just as Tom here has written, though the shell may belong to Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
And just as Tom here has written, we say to hell with Great Britain, the eagle inside belongs to us.
All right, folks. I don't know about a humid Monday morning. It's more like a freezing Monday morning. 870-275-9799 is the text message, or is the phone number to give us a text message or a phone call. Check this out. We missed the story last week, but I wanted to go through it. Joe, I think you've got it. The Pea Ridge School District to make second try at millage increase. Oh, you've got it on there somewhere. Oh, never mind. Okay, well, whatever. No, that's not the right one. Anyway, so Pea Ridge, the school district, they want more money from the taxpayers. And back in, I guess, last May, voters rejected a 5.1 mil tax increase by 54% to 46%. Now, this is an anomaly. I mean, we've told you before that when you do little special elections, or I guess, no, that would have been with the May, no, the primary was in March, right? So it would have been a May special election, and they still lost, which is crazy because when you have a special election, you have a 74% chance of getting the tax increase. Yeah, that's not the same one. I'm looking at a Northwest Arkansas Online article, Joe, but yeah, it's whatever you can find. So it is, they're going to try to get more money from the people again. The school district of Pea Ridge, February 13th. A revamp proposal goes before the voters. That's tomorrow. It requests a 3.9 mils to build a high school, southwest current campus, and da-da-da-da-da. All right, so isn't this weird? I mean, like, a year ago, the citizens voted it down, yet they're back with they want to do it again. Special elections should end. There shouldn't be special elections when you have general elections and primaries, unless it's a true emergency. And building a school is not an emergency, unless a tornado's come through or something and destroy your current school, okay? Then maybe building the school is, you need to raise some tax revenue to do that or whatever and leave it up to the people to do it. Special elections are a way to defraud the public. As I just said, the Center for Research and Economics, Arkansas Center for Research and Economics, they've said that they've done the research from 1980 to now, and they find that, if you want to pass your tax, do it in a special election. You have a 74% chance of passing it. If you want to do it during a normal election, a general election, you've got like a 64% chance that it's going to fail. It's hard to not assume worst motives, the worst intentions of your superintendents or whoever else wants to have a special election. They want the least amount of people to turn out as possible. Now, they're not going to say that, but they know that they're going to get what they want, statistically speaking, more than they're going to get what they don't want. And so and look what happens. The Pea Ridge tax fails last year, and that they're bringing it back up this year. And we have no one to thank except for James Sturge. If you believe in special elections and you like it, you're one of these. Maybe you're the municipal league, which they love special elections for this very reason, because there's a 74% chance that they get what they want. If that's who you are, then you're probably a big fan of State Representative James Sturge. State Representative James Sturge decided to walk out on special election reform after he looked at his cell phone and got a text. He had just voted for the measure, then they were doing a sound the ballot, and James Sturge, as they were getting close to the S's, he gets a text message, looks at his phone, and leaves right before his name is called. He wasn't in his seat. His name was struck, and therefore there were only 50 yes votes. He was the 51st. And that brought it down to just under what is required, the majority, to pass out of the 100-member House. Very, very sad. Special elections go on. The people of Pea Ridge will be taxed more, and now they got to keep up with which election are you going to do next to try to take more of my money. We'll see you in Russellville, 2 o'clock today.